So big wheels and tyres on your van seems like a great idea, but is it? You have probably realised that this video is all about the side effects of what happens when you install larger wheels and tyres to your van or truck. We all know the obvious. We've heard that it can affect your speedo. I'm absolutely blown away. It will affect your MPG. The computer just cannot keep up. It can be noisy. It's not looking good. I have in fact found a side effect that nobody's talking about. It's far more serious than all of the aforementioned and could potentially devalue your vehicle. Innie or outie? I'm talking about the writing, of course, that comes on the bfgoodrich tyres. So I am, in fact, when it comes to this, I am an innie kind of guy. I want my writing on the inside. I think it's a bit too loud. These were ordered with the writing on the outside by accident on a white van. I let it pass because black and white was the theme, and by now the white has pretty much gone. But I am all the way an innie. Drop it in the comments, innie or outie. So, the data needed for this experiment actually requires me to drive needlessly for 100 miles. I have found a service station that, according to Google Maps, is 50 miles away. I'm going to drive that 50 miles, grab myself a cup of coffee, and drive back. That 100 miles will give me the data I need to explain to you guys the detrimental effect that wheels and tyres can really make on your van. So the first thing we're going to do is actually set the trip, the odometer, to 0. Let's just get that done here now. There we go. We are on 0. Ready to rock and roll. In here. That might be curious, George. We are all set to go. 1 hour, 5 minutes, 49 miles remaining. We are on the way. We all know putting bigger wheels and tyres on a van will affect your speedo. We all know it, we all still do it because we can all live with it. We know, like now, it's a 50 mile an hour speed limit. We know to knock a bit off. We all know that, so if it's 50, I'll do 45. If it's 70, I'll probably still do 65 because there's a bit of tolerance there. Now you can get that rectified. Someone told me that on the T6, they can adjust it on the computer, tell the van what size tyres you got. That person also did tell me, don't quote me on this, that you cannot do that on the T6.1. I don't know. That is something that I am genuinely going to look into. We all know that we are going faster than our speedo actually projects we are. So with that in mind, how can the mileage stay correct? So for example, if I was to travel with the speedo at 70 miles an hour for 1 hour, that should be 70 miles. Except we're probably doing 77 miles an hour, which means you've actually travelled 77 miles. That 10%. Now, that doesn't seem so concerning. But if you've been driving a van around with a 10% discrepancy for 5 years, for example, let's say you did 50,000 miles. If it truly does knock the mileage out, and that's what we're trying to answer, if it knocks the mileage out at 50,000 miles, that's a 5,000 mile discrepancy. If you buy a van that's got bigger, larger wheels and tyres, the mileage, when it says 45,000, is probably 50,000. Still not that concerning. If you buy a van that's got 90,000 miles on it, it's done 99,000, closer to 100,000. That is bizarre. Second major part of this experiment is the MPG. This is not a before big wheels and tyres and after big wheels and tyres test. There's too many variables. Since putting the wheels on, I've had a pop top, I've got more weight in the back. I could never replicate the same drive twice. Without a wind tunnel and a rolling road, You could never replicate it twice. To get an average MPG would be absolute nonsense. The weather makes a difference, the altitude, how hard you drive, traffic, all of those things. But what I can do is measure the MPG right now. As my van sits, does the MPG that the computer tells me I'm achieving truly tally up? That's why we filled up with diesel. Until the handle went click, that's basically the scientific tolerances I'm working to. The handle went click, we're gonna do our 100 miles. Is the computer, once I've done the maths after I've filled up and done the maths, is it gonna be the same? Is the MPG that the fuel that I physically put in the van, measure the gallons, is that gonna tally up to the amount of miles I've achieved? And on this one, I genuinely don't know the answer. I'm pretty sure, well, I'm 100% sure the speedo's out. I'm pretty sure our mileage, our trip computer is going to be out, because that measures the revolution that the wheel turns per minute, and we know we've changed that. But I don't know where the van physically gets its information from to calculate the MPG. So we are 35 miles in, and I've got to tell you, it doesn't look good. I cannot very well make this video about the side effects of putting big wheels and tyres on your van, especially the all-terrains, without mentioning noise. I get asked it all the time, is it noisy? Here's my opinion. If you were going to take a standard panel van and fit big wheels and tyres to it, you are probably going to notice that decibel increase from the road resistance, that noise, the extra amount of tread that you've got on the tarmac. You're going to notice. What is the first thing we all do when we're doing any kind of conversion on a van after we fitted wheels and tyres, that is? We insulate everything. So this van, for example, the whole rear cargo area, the whole floor, 100% of it has been silent coat matted. That is the bitumen stuff with the silver foil. The stuff that's like tar. That's been totally covered, 100%, and the wheel arches. So with that in mind, any decibel increase that we were going to get, we pretty much cancel straight back out, because then we've got insulation, then we've got our ply boards that we've covered in carpet. Is it noisy? No. We are here. I got a little bit nervous on that roundabout because I've never been here before, and I thought I took the wrong turn, and then the whole experiment would have been not down the pan necessarily, because we're not talking about 500 yards being the difference, but if I got back on the motorway by accident, it would have all been. I feel like a Greggs is in my future. I can tell you now, not worth driving 50 miles for. Definitely not my favourite coffee. $50 miles down, 50 to go. So let's put that back in the satellite navigation system, courtesy of Google. We love Google. Google Maps. All set. 58 minutes on the way back. A little less traffic, obviously. Cross checks, we all sorted. I can tell you now, my first instincts are correct. I can already tell regarding the mileage situation, which pretty much leaves a bit of conclusion and also the MPG test. So basically, just gonna fly back now, get these other 50 miles under my belt, fill up, and I'll meet you back at home.
I'm expecting it to be quite a bit. £250,000 could be yours now, and don't forget to...
This shouldn't be too painful. Litres, 10.97 litres. Now I'm telling you that just in case I lose that information and I can come back to it. So that 100 miles has cost me £17.43. Not too bad all in all, because 100 miles 60 miles an hour pretty much all the way. Decent MPG 37, my computer says. What I will tell you guys now is I will allow for the fact that this fuel station is a mile away from home. So I'll take the reading now, and then that is relative to 98 miles because I zeroed it when I left here, and now I'll take that reading right now. I'm going to hide that from you guys because that's going to be a big reveal, but just to prove that I'm just leaving the fuel station and our average MPG was 36.7 miles per gallon. Let's get back and do the maths. I don't think you're going to believe me. I've just pulled up. I could see it happening as I was coming here. Come here, come into this camera. Check that out. Exactly 10%. Exactly 10%. Now, if you're going to be cynical, when Google Maps says 50 miles, that might have been 50.2 miles, that might have been 50.9 miles. I don't know at what point it turns into 51. Maybe it's at 50.6, I don't know. But 50 miles there according to Google Maps, 50 miles back, no detours. My van says that I've done 90 miles. That doesn't sound like a big deal. 10 miles every 100, 1,000 every 10K, 10,000 every 100,000 miles. Starts to make a little bit of a difference, huh? Right, got the information now. Gonna sit here, see if I can remember best how to do working out MPG, literally. Give me a second. I don't have to actually do any maths because of course there's an app for that, or there's a link for that. So I've literally just Googled MPG calculator, and if you can see, and I hope you can, I've put distance 98 miles. I'm going to put a screenshot over the top. Distance 98 miles because it's a mile to and from the petrol station. Litres of fuel used 10.97. Hit calculate. MPG says 40.61. 40 miles to the gallon. The 10% that the speedo is out and that the mileage is out, the MPG is out. So you can add MPG to that. So it says that I did 36, maybe 37 miles per gallon. But in fact, in the real world, filling up and then refilling up, 40.61. I'm really, really chuffed with that. So the MPG after installing bigger wheels and tyres isn't as bad as your van tells you it is. Absolutely awesome. I'm absolutely blown away. And it all makes sense. Of course it makes sense. Why would it not be the case? So looking at it going from 45 MPG on a run to 35, 36 MPG on a run, you think it's a devastating effect, but it's not actually as bad as it seems. I'm waffling now. Let's move on.